OTAN, Outreach and Technical Assistance Network.
So we're going to talk about not just using Google. Okay, thank you. That's good to know. Not just using Google Classroom type functionality, but how can you, if you're creating resources in Google, how you can easily use Canvas to provide access and share with your students. So there's going to be a couple of different ways that we do this, depending on how your system is set up. So whether you have student generated emails that are given by your district to the students, or if they're accessing by personal, I'm going to show you the different ways that you can use Google and not have to create things more than once, because you create it once in Google and then you provide access in Canvas instead of creating it in Google and then recreating it in Canvas. We don't need to do that extra work. So if you have any questions, please do put those in the chat. And if I'm either going too fast or you need me to re-show something, please let me know, because this can be a topic that it is a topic I want you to actually be doing this while we're working together. So if you have your Canvas open and then maybe in another tab or in another window, have your Google Drive open as well. So first, I want to kind of go over the different Google, they provide their email when they register. So Jenny, are they all Google emails that they're providing, or do you have some people who are using maybe Yahoo or Hotmail or those kinds of things? Because
We were initially told that has to be Gmail only, but then we found out it doesn't matter that as long as the email works where they go check, that worked. So
okay. So when we're looking at the different ways that Google talks to Canvas and vice versa, we have a couple of things. There's a Google Cloud, and then there's the Google Assignments. So with Google Cloud, what that's no longer, that was the original way for several years that Google and Canvas were talking to each other. And with the new Google Assignments 1.3, that came about a year and a half ago, right around the end of the pandemic. That is becoming the standard way of having your Google and your Canvas talk to each other. But you can still do some things with the Google Cloud. I just want to make sure that you all understand that that is no longer supported by Google. And so if something's not working, there's nobody on Google's help side to help troubleshoot that. But I'm going to show you the difference between those. But regardless of whether you're using the Google Cloud, which is just basically saying, take this document and show it in Canvas, both methods allow you to, if you have a resource or a slide deck or a Google Doc or Google Sheets, that you can pull that information and display it in Canvas, which allows you to keep your students in Canvas and not have them try and go find things out in the Google Drive, which sometimes they get lost and then can never find their way back. So embedding in the RCE, the RCE is our rich content editor in Canvas. And I'm going to show you how you can take a Google item and embed that into Canvas using just whether your students have Google or not. It provides them access. We can do the same with modules, embedding these things in our modules so that it shows up in our course flow. Remember, modules is the only place that you can put things in a certain order and have those previous and next buttons show up so that the students go through your course or your resources sequentially. Modules is what controls that, and we can put in our Google items in the module so that it shows up in that course progression for students. Collaboration is available and I'll show you, that's a great place when you want to have your students collaborate, but you want to be the one that creates the Google item so that you're the owner, and then have your students collaborate on it. And I'll show you how to set that up. Students can receive a copy of Google Doc, a slide, or a sheet to work on. And just like if you're familiar with Google Classroom, kind of the same concept where you make the template, it copies it out to all of your students so that they can work on their own version of it. And assignments will create folders for the students as well as for you, so that they don't have to be in Canvas to see the items. They can log into Google and see the items in their Google Drive. And right now we cannot use Canvas groups or peer review. So if you, on your assignment submission details, you have the option of choosing a Canvas group or a peer review, Google items will not share. You can still provide them as a resource, but it does not facilitate that collaboration or peer review functionality. That has to be Canvas native. So the difference between Google Cloud and Google Assignments is, again, if you're familiar with the Google Classroom process, Google Assignments 1.3 is basically that same process that Google walks you through, but you access it through Canvas. And so I'm going to show you how that works. This one is supported by Google, and it is covered by the Google Workspace for Education, which is, the way that Google sets up with student emails and teacher emails and being a part of the same organization instance, so that it will talk with Canvas on both sides. So a lot of today is going to be me showing you and you trying it out. So I'm going to go ahead and jump over to a course in Canvas that I have. And I have I have a lot of items in here to show you demonstration that I've set up in my module. And if you can see, I've got a Google Canvas page, followed by a Google item that I've linked or embedded in my module, followed by a Canvas assignment. So again, modules are the only place where you can put things in a sequential order for your students to work through. And that does include the items from Google directly into Canvas modules. So I'm going to show you first how we're just going to share resources with our students. So the purpose of this is to give them a handout you would like them to read, or a slide deck you would like them to look through, or a Google Doc that has information. You've created it in Google and you don't want to recreate it in Canvas, so you're going to embed it or bring it in. So this is an example of a Google Slides embedded in a page. So where would this be helpful? So say you have a presentation, your lecture, or so to speak, and you want your students to be able to access your slide deck at home when they're working on the assignments, or at a later date, or maybe they were absent. So I'm going to come all the way down here. This is just some screenshots that I put together. But in order to embed a slide deck inside Canvas, we have to do something in Google first. So I'm going to come over here to my Canvas and Google presentation, and I'm going to get out of presenter mode. And I'm going to come over here to File, and I'm going to share this presentation by publishing it to the web. So I'm not just sharing it with specific people. I'm not just sharing it with my students, but it doesn't mean that, people are going to steal your slides. It just means that we're going to make it so that Canvas and Google can talk to each other without any barriers. So I'm going to click on Publish to Web, and I hope you can see the pop-up box. It's going to ask me, do I want to share it as a link, or do I want to share it as an embed? I'm going to choose Embed. And when I choose Embed, I get this code down here, which, unless you know HTML, is not going to make any sense to you, but that's okay. You just click on that code and right-click and copy it, or Control-C to copy. And then I'm going to come down and I have to change my window view just a little bit. So it's published to the web. And now I'm going to come out. It's not letting me save it. Okay. Let me see if I can go smaller. There we go. So this code here, it says press Control-C to copy. If you're on a Mac, it will be Command. And now, once I've published that code, I'm going to come back here to Canvas and open up my page that I want my slide deck to be embedded in. I'm going to come down here and put my cursor right here. Your slide deck will appear on the page. I'm going to have it appear right here where my cursor is. And because I copied an embed code in Canvas, I'm going to insert embed. And in this embed code, this is where I'm going to paste that code that I copied from Google. And now I'm going to click on submit. And so now when I save this page and I scroll down to where I inserted my slides, here are my slides right inside Canvas. My students never have to leave, and they can click through my slide deck right here in Canvas without ever leaving. And the reason why I like doing this is because, as you can see, I've given context above it, and then I've embedded the slideshow. So sometimes that's better than just linking your slides in the modules and then they're opening up the slides and there's no context around of why they're looking at the slides, or is there a due date, or those kinds of things. So you can create a page, put in context or instructions or expectations, and then link your slide deck or embed your slide deck after those expectations. And then if I continue scrolling down, you can see I have resource down here. So you can even add content beneath the slide deck as well. So again, this page is inside of a module. So if you think of a module as a desk drawer, as a filing cabinet, when the module is the filing cabinet drawer, and inside that drawer are your Canvas pages, assignments, discussions, quizzes, and links to outside things out on the internet. Those are all inside your Canvas module or inside your drawer of your filing cabinet. So if I come over here and look at my modules, that's this page right here, embed your Google Slides in a page. Now you can see here, embed your slides in a module as an external URL. So I'm going to take a look at this, and this is kind of funky, right? So this is a different slide deck, but you can see I have the slide and then I have the view over here of all the different slides. So this is not in presentation mode. This is in that edit mode. And so this is putting your slides in a module as an external URL. Again, you have to have your publish to the web settings set. And remember, your URL is this share link over here. So if you were doing a slide deck where you wanted your students to be able to come in, and these are great for EduProtocols, if you know about EduProtocols, where it's like claim a slide and do the tasks on it, you know, do your popcorn reading strategy or something like that. But each student claims a slide and all your students are working on the same slide deck. So in that case, what you need to do, and this is very important, on the share settings, you need to make sure that instead of restricted, that everyone with the link, and this can be the scary part, instead of viewing, I want it to be editor, because I want my students to edit my slide deck. I want them to add the information to the slide that they chose. Okay, so this is a collaborative, interactive activity that I'm providing access to in Canvas, but they're going to be doing the work as a group on one master slide deck in Google. So now I'm going to copy that link. And I'm going to click on done. And I'm going to come back here to Canvas. And I'm going to come back to my modules, because I'm providing, remember, I'm going to do embed your slides in the modules as an external URL. So I'm going to come over here to my module and click on my plus sign. And actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new module so that this is going to be my demo module. That way I'm not messing up my progression. So I'm going to come down to my demo module, and I'm going to add to this module. Remember, you can add Canvas items, or I can come all the way down here, second to the bottom, it says external URL. So I'm going to add this external URL. URL means website. And I'm going to paste my Google Slides share link under URL. And that slide link is not going to mean anything to the student. So I'm going to actually give this a page name. This is going to be our collaborative activity for March 4th. So that is what they'll see to click on. So you want your page name to indicate what it is they're clicking on. And you can load it in a new tab, you can indent it, all of those things. And so now when I add this item, here's that collaborative activity for March 4th. I need to make sure that I publish my module and my link that's in there so that my students will see it. And the nice thing about this is as a student, they will come in and click on that link, and it will load that slide deck into their Canvas page where they could come now and work on it, do that collaborative activity. And if they're on a device that's really small, all they have to do, and this is something you'll just have to teach them, is they can click on the name of the activity in this gray bar, and it will pop it out into its own window. And so now they have a bigger area to work because it's not inside of Canvas. And they don't have to type in the address because you've given them access inside of Canvas. So what I'd like to do is give you a minute. Let's practice that. Find a Google item. So if I come out to my Google Drive, I have all of these items. And so maybe I want to put in this, the power of blockchain. This is a Google slideshow that I've created for my computer science. And you can see here that I want my students to read and take notes. Or this one down here, I want them to answer this question, cite some evidence, and explain. So this is an interactive slide deck that I want them to have access to. So first steps, so I'm reviewing now, is I'm going to File, Share, Publish to Web. And I'm going to click on Embed and Publish. And then it'll show that link. I have to publish it first, and then that link will show. And then I'm going to copy that link. And I'm going to come back to Canvas, come down to my demo module. And because I copied the embed link, I'm going to embed that on a page. So I'm reviewing right now. So I'm going to create a new page in Canvas, just like I would create any other Canvas page. And I'm going to title it The Power of Blockchain and add that to my module. I like adding things from modules. You might go to your pages, index page, and add from there. That's fine too. And once I come into my Power of Blockchain and go into the edit mode, I can add my context, review the slides, the reading on the slides, and follow the directions for completion. Work with a partner or alone. Okay, so I've given them context. And then I'm going to insert that embed code. Paste that right there. And now this is just the slide deck that they can look through. This does not give them the editing rights yet because it's just embedded the slideshow itself. So the embed code puts it on a, embeds it in Canvas so that they can review it. So let's look at that. Here we go. So there's my slide deck. They can click through it and review the reading. But in order for them to work on this slide deck, that's where I'm going to give them access in modules as a link, because I want them to go into not the presentation mode, but the edit mode. So this same slide deck, instead of the embed code, now I'm going to come over here to the share button and copy this link. Marion, did you want to ask a question about that process? You're muted. Unmute. Yeah, that's okay. So Michael, that's a great question. And when we get to the LTI, right now, I'm just working with Google items and bringing them into Canvas for those people who do not have the LTI. because the Google LTI only works if your school provides school email addresses to your students. If your school does not provide those email addresses, then yes, I'm going to right now. Then you have to go through this method because the LTI won't work. So I'm showing both ways. Yeah. Okay. So I'm back to, you're welcome. I'm back to my slide deck, and this time I want to give them access to edit the slides. So again, I have to make sure that I'm sharing my slide deck, and instead of restricted, I'm going to share with anyone with the link and from viewer to editor. That way, if I just give them view access, they see it, but they can't do anything. Learning tool integration, Esteban. It's short for learning tool integration. It's basically how Canvas and Google, those are both learning tools. It's how they integrate. Okay, so anyone with the link is an editor, and I'm going to copy that link, and I'm going to come back to my Canvas modules so that I can put this version that I want them to edit in my module. So I'm going to come here, and instead of embedding it on a page, I'm going to add it with the plus sign to my module as an external URL. And then I'm going to paste that there. And this is going to be my blockchain activity slides. So you can see that it added it as a link. And basically all that's doing is saying, I want my students to access my slide deck so that they can edit, but I don't want them to have to try and find it in Google. And I don't want to have them type it in because it's this really long address URL that they're never going to get right. So instead, I'm just giving you the link right here. And so when they click on that link, it opens it up, and now they have access to these slides on the side where they can come in and edit and add their content. And if this is too small, then they click on the blockchain activity slides title up here to pull it out into its own window. So again, this is for people who, even if you have the Google 1.3 enabled, you cannot provide, you can't use it like Google Classroom unless your students have the same email that you do. So dthompson@scoe.net. I can only use the Google LTI with other students at scoe.net, right? So if your students are accessing Canvas and and all of your resources with their personal Gmail or even without a Gmail, then what I'm doing right now is how you're going to provide that access. Okay. So I'm going to come back to modules. So again, I can embed it in a page so they just have access to the slides, or I can link it as an external URL so that they have the ability to open that up and work on those Google Slides. And that's the same for Google Docs as well. So if I come back to my Google Drive and I have this demo content Google Doc, I'm going to open this up. And I want my students to read this. There's no interaction on it. I just want them to read it. But instead of redoing it in Canvas, what I need to do is make sure that I've shared it so that anyone with the link can view. Okay, so they're not modifying this, so they just need to view it. And under File and Share, I can publish to the web. Correct. Well, so there's two things in that, Maren. We want to make sure that anybody who has the link can view here. And we also need to publish it to the web so that they can access it, whether they have Gmail or not. So I'm going to publish that to the web. And here's a link. So if I'm going to do the embed code again. I'm going to click on embed and click on publish, click on OK. And there's that HTML code. So I'm going to copy that and come back to Canvas. And I'm going to add that doc just like I did. So I'm going to come in and create a new page. And this is going to be my demo content Google Doc. So when you're embedding using that HTML code, you're going to embed it in a page or in an assignment or a discussion, anywhere that you have the rich content editor. So here's that page that I'm going to go in and edit. And you might ask, well, why don't I just link out to Google instead of, and you can, but sometimes you don't want your students to leave Google. And this is a little too small. So this is not my favorite way to do Google Docs, but there's another way that I'm going to show you in just a minute. But that is one way. The other way, if I come back to my Google Doc, because it said here the iframe is too small, but if I come back and get my share link, yes, Lynette, I'm going to do this again. Like I said, Google Docs are not friendly when you're embedding through the publish, but let's take a look at the copy link. Yeah. Right. And that's the security. So that's why when we're in Google, and the same with Microsoft, is you want to make sure that when you're sharing it so that anyone with the link. My other choice is anybody who's at Sacramento County Office of Education, or restricted, and I'm giving specific access to people. But if it's something where you just need, if they're in your class and they're accessing with their personal emails, you're going to do anyone with the link to avoid having any kind of block. And then copy that link. Okay, so coming back here, I'm going to come back to my Canvas, and I hid some slides in here. It's actually in my Canvas. Let me come back to modules, because I want to show you the Google Docs. So embed your Google Docs in a page. This has screenshots, so it might be a little bit easier to follow. So what I did before was I used the Google Cloud, right? Not the Google Cloud, the insert embed the cloud. But when you're using Docs, you're going to use the plugin. And that actually looks like a little plug. And then when you do that, you'll notice that here's that same document that I tried to, and it didn't look very good. Here's that same document embedded using the plugin. And so when I come back to modules, let me show you what that looks like. So again, coming down, and this will be a little bit easier. I'm going to go into edit. And instead of the cloud, which is this one right here, I'm not going to do that one. I'm going to do this little plug right here. And I'm going to view all, and you can see that here I have the LTI 1.3. So this is where we are using that connection. It knows that I'm D. Thompson at SEOE.net. So I'm going to go ahead and say, yes, that's true. It might ask you to verify again. And I opened up in another window, but basically what it's showing me is my Google Drive. And now I can choose that content and add it just as if I were in a Google Classroom. And here it is there. Now, I know because it doesn't show you my pop-ups, did it? No? Okay, so let me, Karen, go ahead and ask your question. I'm going to stop sharing and share a different way so that you can see what I see. Oh, you mean
that?
Oh, go ahead. Now I hear you.
Oh, thanks. I just want to clarify that with using the Google Doc, you can't use Immersive Reader, right?
That's true.
Okay.
Even in the embed, it does not see the Immersive Reader only works on Canvas native items. Okay, so now I have to move this over. So now you should see, I'm restructuring. Okay, so here's my page. So let me show you that so that you can see all the pop-ups that came up and all of that. So I'm going to get rid of that. Backspace. Okay, so when you're using, if you have the HTML code like we did with our with our Google Slides, then you're going to insert embed. But with Google Docs and even with Google Slides, I'm going to come over here and use my plugin instead. And I'm going to If you don't see it here, then when you click on view all, these are all items that your district has enabled on their Canvas instance. And I can, you can see that there's several on here. Google Drive is what we're working with today. So now you see that it's asking me to select from a file from my Google Drive. So I'm going to select a file, and then this window comes up, and these are all the items in my Google Drive. And basically what it's doing is saying, okay, I'm going to take that file or that slide or that spreadsheet, and I'm going to show it in Canvas. So let's take this goal setting worksheet. Okay, so I'm going to insert this goal setting worksheet and click on add. And it will share. So here, and maybe this answers a question from previously, it does change the sharing permissions automatically. So when I click on attach, it's automatically going in and setting that Google Doc to anyone with the link can view. So here it is, and it's much cleaner than using the embed code. So I'm going to save and publish. And now my students, they can't write on this right now because it's view only, but it's in Canvas and they don't have to go out to Google to find it. And that's on a page. So embedding in a page, use that Google or that plugin to do the Google LTI. They still can't access it to write on it, but they can view it without going outside of Canvas. And I'm going to edit this so that this is actually my goal setting Google Doc example. Okay. And just like you could with slides, I can come in here and I can say, you know, after you've set your main goal, share with your table partner. Right. So I'm giving them extra context that's not on the Google Doc, but will be part of the instructions on their Canvas page. So I've shown you 3 things, and I want to give you time to try it. This one was just putting a link in here. This one was embedding a slide deck using the embed code into the Canvas page. And then this one is using the plugin to grab it from your drive. So you have to have a Google Drive if you're using the plugin. Your students do not to view it. When we get to assignments, I'll show you how they need to have a Google Drive. But I'm going to give you, let's come over here to Google, and we're going to set a 5-minute timer. And that way I don't cut you short on your time. And you can go ahead and try one or all of those methods and let me know in the chat if you have any questions. And can Google Forms be embedded? Yes, Michael, and I'm going to show you that. I love embedding Google Forms. Okay, so Lorraine, if you don't have a Google Drive as an option for your plugin, did you click on view all and you still don't see it? Then that needs to be enabled by your administrator. So whoever runs your Canvas instance, they need to enable it. So maybe a help ticket to get them to do that.
Dana, could I ask a question?
Sure.
So, I mean, we're largely a Google school, and the students get Google, accounts, and we have all the Google stuff in there. Sometimes, but there's a few teachers who like Microsoft, and so I know you can set it up all for OneDrive to link it all in. Would that just lead to complications, and then the students would also need a Microsoft account, or?
So when it comes to just providing access to view it, no, it's going to work exactly the same. But if they wanted students to be able to get a template, or, like I make the handout and then push it out to all of my students so that they have their own copy, then yes, they need to have a Microsoft account.
Okay.
Same with Google. If I'm just giving them a handout that I want them to view in Canvas, then they don't need to have a Google account. But if I'm going to use Canvas and Google to create a master copy and then have it push out a copy for each student so they have their own, they have to have that Google Workspace, education workspace account. So it doesn't even work with, like, if I signed up with my personal Gmail, it wouldn't work. It has to be a school account to do that.
Okay.
And yes, I'm going to, yes. So we're now down. I'm not going to let this get to the end because then you hear a siren and it's really annoying. Okay. So coming back to Canvas. So Maren, when you want my slides, do you want it to so that you, I don't have anything on my slides. It's all in my Canvas course. It's all just examples. But what I do have, got it. Okay. So what I can do, if you are interested, is I can send you, what I'll do is I'll post in the Canvas Commons. It may even already be there. I think I've done it once before where I have my course in there that has some of these examples that you can look at. But if not, at the end of this training, I'll put this one in Canvas Commons and then you can download it into your course, of course. Okay, so going back up here. So again, here's the link to the slides so that students can edit it. And so that again, is not the prettiest and it's really small, but they can always click on the link to open it up in a new window. And that is by sharing the share link in the module as an external URL. So I'm going to show you the difference. Let me collapse all of these. So this is shared as an external URL. So I went to the plus sign and dropped down to external URL. This is great if you are working in Google and your students are not working in a school Google account, they're working in their personal Google or not Google at all. So this will provide them access to your files through Canvas so that they can review. The other option is I can also use that external tool, just like I did in the pages for my goal setting doc. I can also do that in modules. So if I click on the plus sign and instead of external URL, I choose external tool, remember that the tool is going to take you into your Canvas drive. Sorry, the tool is going to take you into your Google Drive so that you can grab the file that you want to pull back into Canvas. That's what the tool does. Whereas the URL is just providing a link, just like a website, to that other file. So if I use external tool and I come down here and find my Google Drive tool, and again, it's making sure, yes, this is the right account. And so now it's looking at my Google Drive again. So you can see I have all of these files that you've seen before. So I'm going to come down here and this one I'm going to, we'll pull in the goal setting so that you can see the difference. So now I'm pulling it in as an external tool instead of just a link. And so I'm going to attach that file. Now it looks like it didn't work. And I don't know why this happens, but it did. So I'm going to trust that it did and just click on add item to get out of this window. And there's my goal setting activity. And notice that it's as a link, not as a Canvas page. And so once I publish that for my students, when I click on this link, it is not in Canvas, it's pulling it from Google and showing it in Canvas. So in this instance, I do not have the ability to add context around it. So if you take a look at the one that I embedded in a page previously, I have the ability to add the heading, the title of the page, and I put instructions at the end, because this I used in a page using the plugin, so I can still add more stuff around it. Whereas if you're using in modules the external tool, all it's doing is going to pull in that Google item so that you can show it to your students without them having to log out or go outside of Canvas, but it doesn't give them the ability, or it doesn't give you the ability to put information around it. So let that sink in.
Donna, you mentioned that if we don't see the all other to view in plugging in, who do we need to talk to?
Whoever is the person in charge of your Canvas instance, that's going to be your Canvas administrator. So for us, it's Marjorie.
I see.
Yeah. So and really what happens is And I don't know, you might be able to set it up yourself. I'm just going to show this real quick. If it's not something that you want to try and do, then don't. But if I come into my course settings
Okay.
and I come over here to integrations.
Okay.
Oh, no, sorry. It's apps, not integrations. It's under apps. I can take a look at, I'm going to type in Google here. Did it not come? Yeah, so it looks like, because I can see it right here, it's Google Assignments, because my administrator enabled it. And I believe Google's one of those where your administrator has to enable it.
I'm the one of them for our school,
Yeah.
so I don't even know.
Yeah. So if you click on apps and then you click on view app configurations,
Uh-huh.
if you don't see it in this list, then it hasn't been enabled.
Okay.
And you have to probably put in a help ticket,
Okay.
Marion. You're
Got it.
muted. Yeah, I still don't hear you. Do you want to type it in the chat? Because I still don't hear you. Sorry. I don't know if your sound didn't connect. I think she logged out. She's coming back in. Okay. So that's the difference between embedding your Google Doc in a page using the plugin, or embedding your Google Doc as an external tool in your Canvas modules. So now we have forms. And like I said, forms is one of my favorites. And the reason why I love putting Google items on pages, again, is because I can then surround that item with context. So here is a Google form that I've created that I've embedded into Canvas. And notice that I have, information above it. I've included screenshots, and then here's that Google form. So this is an exit ticket, and I want my students to fill in this Google form. And then when they're done, they click on submit. And why would I use a Google form instead of a Canvas quiz or a Canvas survey? Say I have 4 different classes, but I want all of their information in one spreadsheet so that I can grab that data from that one spreadsheet. Then I'm going to use a Google form, because I can embed this Google form in all of my other Canvas courses, and all of their answers will go to one place. Oh, Marion, you tried to go through the process to embed a link. Okay, let me show the form and then I'll come back and show you that. So the way you're going to embed a form, there's a couple of ways. Again, this is in a page, and I like it in a page because then I can provide context so that my students understand why they're completing this form. So I would come back to modules, and I would come down to my demo module and add another page. And I'm going to create a new page called Google Form Exit Ticket. Okay, here's my page, and I'm going to open up my page and go into the edit mode. And I can add my context here, whatever the things may be. And then, so there's a couple of ways. So Google Forms, because they're meant to be used with people who don't have Google accounts. If I come in to my Drive, and I come down here and I have this Google form, it's an activity, what AI does well and what it does not do well. I want my students to read this passage and then come down and answer these questions. This is going to be my exit ticket, right? So when you're creating a Google form and you click on send, see you have the embed code right here. So when I click, I don't have to publish anything. So I'm going to click on the embed code and I'm going to copy that code. Okay. Now, what you do have to do is make sure that under your settings that you are not making it so they changed it again. So under presentation, I want to make sure that Oh my goodness, they totally changed it again. Responses. Here we go. I want my response. I'm not going to restrict it. So I'm going to turn this off so that it's open to anybody. Otherwise, it's only open to people in my organization. So I've turned that off. I've copied the embed code. And so now, because I copied the embed code, I'm going to insert the embed code. So I copied the embed code. Now I'm going to insert the embed code. Now look at this. Here is the width and the height of my form. That height is going to make your students scroll forever. So I would come and change my height. So it's no more than 800, but that's a lot smaller than this. I'm just going to change that to 800 right here in my embed code screen and click on submit. And so now that form, if I save and publish, is in my Canvas page. And yes, the students still have to scroll, but it's not making Canvas scroll forever. So they can come in here and complete this form. The informations go to my Google form spreadsheet, not to my Canvas grades. So remember that. So Google Forms are great for surveys, for getting kind of some global information. But if you want to attach a grade to it, I would do it as a Canvas quiz. So that's one way. The other way, if I come in here to modules, again, is using that LTI. So here I am in my demo module. I'm going to add the plus sign, and I'm going to pull in that external tool. So copy the embed, insert the embed. Use the external tool when you don't want the embed tool. So here's that Google Drive. And again, it's asking me to verify I am who I am. And now here's that form, right? So I'm going to pull in this form and add it. And look at what it shows here. Right now, forms cannot be embedded in modules. So you have to go through that first way. Okay, so it doesn't mean that your Canvas is broken. It just means that it's not able to do that yet. So you can pull the link in, but then they click on the link and they go out to Google. If you want the form to be inside Canvas, then embed it.
I'll go to your
Copy the embed code, insert the embed code. Okay. Yes. So Michael, that 640 by 800 is good for any embed, unless it's like a 2-question form, then it might be a little long, but that's pretty, if you think of 640 by 800, like a 3x4 picture, portrait size picture. Yeah. Okay. So forms are a great way to, and so far all we're doing is sharing our items. Have you ever been to somewhere where they've given you a link to copy a Google form automatically? So you click on the link and it says, do you want to make a copy? It's a really, really easy trick. So if you wanted to force a copy so that they make their own copy in their drive, you're no longer the owner, but you don't want them to mess up your master. There's a trick to do this. In order for it to work, the user must be signed into their Google account. And this is great for those of you who do not have student Gmails. They're accessing with their personal Gmail. They still have to have a Gmail, so it won't work for those people with Microsoft accounts or Yahoo or anything. So they have to have a Gmail. But what you're going to do is you're going to open up the item in your Google browser. So say, let's do this one. Okay. So again, because we're sharing it, we need to make sure that anyone with the link, and in this case, I'm going to change it to viewer. Oh, good. I'm glad, Marion. Sorry, I forgot to come back to you.
Nice.
So I'm going to make sure that anyone with the link can view my file, not restrict it. And then I'm going to click on done. So then the second thing is you're going to copy the URL. So this is the actual URL website link, not the share button. So I'm going to come back to my Google Slides and I'm going to copy this one up here. Okay, so Control C. I'm not copying the share link. I'm copying the one up here in my URL. And then I'm going to open up my Canvas page. or I can even do this as an external URL, where I want them to be able to click on the link, and then it's going to ask them if they want to make their own copy. And so the trick is this: at the end of your URL, you have the word edit because you're the owner, right? You're going to change that so it's the word copy instead. So here I am. I'm going to come back to my modules, and I'm going to come down here to my demo module, and I'm actually going to add this straight to my module. So I'm going to click on the plus sign, and because I'm using the URL, I'm not using the tool, and I'm going to paste that link, and I'm going to use my arrow key to get to the very end, and I'm going to backspace until I find the word edit and keep going, and then type in the word copy. That's it. So you go to the very end and you backspace until you get to the word edit, and then remove that too and replace it with the word copy. And this is going to be make a copy of my slides. So now I'm going to actually copy this so that, well, that's not the one that you want. I can give you a different one. So here's a make a copy of my slides. Okay. And I'm going to publish it so my students will see it. When they come in and click on this link in the modules, it's going to ask them, and this is not also broken. I'm glad this happened because I have found that Google is pretty picky. So it doesn't like you to make copies inside of Canvas. It wants you to open it up in a new window to make that copy. So I need to change this. So instead of redoing it, I'm going to come over to my 3 dots, and I'm going to edit so that it loads in a new tab. So if you are embedding anything Google and you test it, I always suggest you test it, and it comes up with the broken face, then try loading it in a new tab and see if it works. So if I update this so that it's loading in a new tab, and now I try to make a copy of my slides, it's going to open up, and it's going to say this site was opened in a new browser window. So I'm going to open that up, and now it's forcing me to make a copy, so that when I click on make a copy, it's going to take that and put my own copy in my own personal Google Drive or whatever I have connected, and not mess with the master one that my teacher created. So this is a great way to get your students those Google items, even if they don't have a school Google account. So again, see this up here? I replace the word edit with the word copy. And that's all it takes to make something force a copy for students when they click on the link.
Daniel, quick question. And you had to erase, there was a little bit after that as well, and you erased that.
Yeah, because what that is this is the actual slide that I'm on, because I'm down on slide 6. If I come up here to slide 1, it still had, because it's indicating which slide you're on. So you're going to get rid of all of that stuff at the end up to the word edit, and then replace that with the word copy. And that works on any Google item. And you can even put that link inside of a page. So if you're creating an assignment, right, and you want them to use your Google template. So if I came over here to modules, and I'm going to create an assignment, a new assignment, and this is going to be my blockchain activity assignment. And because they are using the rich content editor, it works exactly the same as it does in Pages. So I'm going to come into edit, and I'm going to provide my instructions. So instructions, read through the information on the blockchain slides and complete the activities as instructed. Okay. And I'm going to make this so it's accessible, giving that a heading 2. But now, because I want them to make their own copy, I'm not going to use my plugin, and I'm not going to use my embed tool. What I'm going to use is my links. So I'm going to type in what I want them to click on, blockchain slides master. Make your own copy, right? I'm going to select what I want them to click on, and I'm going to insert an external link, and I'm going to paste that link here, making sure that instead of edit, I have the word copy at the end. Okay, and then I click on done. It's in there as a link for my students, but when they come in, and now I can have them, submit by typing in the text entry, or maybe uploading a PDF version of theirs, or they can give me a link to the copy that they made. And then I'm going to come down here and save and publish, so that when my students come in here, they have the instructions and they see a link, but it's not embedded and it's not the external tool. But when I click on it, it's asking me if I want to make my own copy. And as a student, I would. And that way, now you can tie a grade in your grade book to that Google assignment.
Is that link from Google Docs? It's not done from Canvas.
Correct. Yeah, so that link is this one here in Google. This is my Google Slides, but you can do the same thing with Google Docs. And basically if I come here and click on my first slide and refresh, I'm getting rid of everything from edit to the end and replacing it with the word copy. And that's what's going into Canvas as the link.
And that's insert external link.
Correct.
Okay, I'm just trying it now.
Yeah.
Okay, copy.
So Dana, to do it the other way you showed us, if we want them all to work in the same, so then we use the edit, we have to give them editing privileges, not the copy.
Correct. So if you wanted them to all work in this one and you remain the owner, that way you can see all of their work, then what you're going to do is share this so that they can edit. Copy this link. And then when you go into Canvas and click on edit, I'm going to come down here and say, work on this collaborative slide deck of blockchain technology, right? So now I'm going to give them access to this collaborative slide deck by going and making it a link to my external Google Slides. But I'm not going to share, I'm not going to change this because I don't want them to make their own copy. I want them to actually click on this link and work in mine. And so now when I click on save, so this is going to make a copy. This one is going to my slide deck, and they have editing privileges, so they can come in here and add their information.
It's very cool. I've just tried that with Make a Copy and it worked.
It does.
I clicked on it and it came to your page. Would you like to make a copy? And it's really easy. They click on the blue button. So that's really fun. I didn't know that we could just do that.
I
So
know.
thank
And it's
you.
great because if you don't have your students in your Gmail, then people think, oh, then I can't use this, but you can. Yeah. Now, what if I come back here to modules and I want an assignment and my students have a student Gmail that is in my, that's been connected. So now instead of doing that activity where I'm providing them a link to make their own copy, or I'm giving them a link to work on mine, I'm going to use Canvas, the LTI, that learning tool integration. So I'm going to create a new assignment. And this is going to be my blockchain Google LTI example. Okay, so this is where I'm going to ask Google to talk, or Canvas to talk to Google, and Google to talk back to Canvas. And the nice thing about this, if you have your students in your Google domain, is I can come in here and click on, here's a key. If you use rubrics and you're doing this Google LTI, put your rubric on before you create the assignment. Because once you attach this to Google, you lose the ability to attach a Canvas rubric. You can do a Google rubric, but if you want your rubric in Canvas, then you need to attach it first, okay? But if you're not using rubrics or you want to use the Google rubric instead, then you don't have to do that. But when I click on edit, and I'm going to come in here and say, complete the blockchain activity, follow all instructions on the slides. Now with this, Canvas is going to tell Google, this is the template I want to use, which is my template here, okay? I don't even have to have my permissions set correctly because Canvas will tell Google how to do that and Google will do it automatically for me. But what Canvas is going to say, hey, we're using this blockchain slide deck, and I want you to make a copy for every student so that they have their own copy. So Canvas is doing that. Canvas and Google are doing that, make a copy for every student, so you don't have to, and you don't have to do that whole copy link. So the way I'm going to do that is the instructions go here. I'm going to come down here to my assignment details. And instead of submitting something online, we're going to submit something using that external tool. So this is where your assignments will communicate between Canvas and Google so that they'll get their own copy, they'll do their work, they'll submit it, and it will pass that all back to Canvas, and you don't have to worry about any of that. So I'm going to click on external tool, and I'm going to go find my Google external tool, my Google assignments. And this should look familiar. I'm going to continue as Dana Thompson, and I'm going to, now this is what's different. So this is another pop-up that came in. So I have a couple of choices. Again, I can upload a file if I haven't yet, or I can create a new doc, sheet, slide, or drawing, right? I've already created my blockchain, so I'm going to attach that from my Google Drive. So here it is right there. So if you've used Google Classroom, this should look pretty familiar. So this is exactly how it works in Google Classroom. So I attached my Google Slides that I had already created. And then here, each student is going to get their own copy. So it's going to take my template and automatically make a copy for every student. Now, this is fairly new. I can either use this tool like I would use Google Classroom, and the students will get their own copy of my Google Slides. They'll work on it, and then I will go into Google to provide any feedback and assign grades. And then Google will send the grade only back to Canvas. Or I now have the choice to choose Canvas Speed Grader, which means that the students will open up the assignment, they'll work in Google, and then when they're done and they click submit, Google will send a copy of their assignment back to Canvas, and then I can go into Speed Grader and annotate with feedback comments, give any kind of video or audio text feedback, and assign the grades in Canvas Speed Grader. So really, when people ask me, well, which one should I do? If you are used to Google Classroom, then use Google Assignments because you're used to that workflow process. If you like using Speed Grader, which I do because I can leave voice comments, I can use the tools in Speed Grader that I use for other things, then I'm going to choose Canvas Speed Grader. About a year ago, they added this. It used to be you had to use Google, and some people didn't want to. So if I use Canvas Speed Grader and click on Create, it's saving the details. Takes a little bit. And again, it looks like it didn't work, but it did. So I'm just going to click on Select to get back to my assignment screen. And you can see that the link is in there. So, load the tool in a new window, which I recommend when you're using the LTI, because we saw before that it will show that it didn't connect when it does. It just has to connect outside. And now I have the ability to assign it to specific people and put in a due date, just like I would any other Canvas assignment. But notice that I didn't put the item in my rich content editor, only my instructions. The assignment itself, I'm connecting through the external tool submission type. Now I'm going to save and publish, and you'll notice that I no longer have that rubric button, my Canvas rubric. So that's why I said do that first. But I do have the ability to come into SpeedGrader and grade my students' assignments in SpeedGrader instead of having to go out to Canvas to find their assignments. I'm sorry, instead of going out to Google to find their assignments. I get to stay in Canvas, and I get to use all the fun tools that are in SpeedGrader to grade their work. So what happens is, I can't demonstrate this because I'm not a student, but if I come into student view, the students will see this load blockchain in a new window. They can see the instructions here. And you know, if you put a video here, watch this video first. In fact, let me do that because I think that's a really good example. I'm going to come over to YouTube, and I'm going to search for blockchain technology. And what is a blockchain? This is a great student that will help, a great video that will help explain to my students. So remember, we have that embed code. So I'm going to come over here, find my little share icon, and I'm going to find the embed code and copy that so that I can come back to my Canvas assignment. And let me leave student view so that I can update this. So I'm going to edit my assignments, and I'm going to say, watch the YouTube video explaining and then complete the activity. Oops, omelet. So then, because I copied embed code, I'm now going to insert that YouTube embed code. And then underneath that, so that's part of my instructions. Underneath that in my assignment instructions, I'm going to keep the slide deck there. And then I'm going to click on save. And I like doing that because now if I come into student view, my students have my instructions. They can watch this YouTube video in Canvas. It strips all the ads. They're not leaving. And then when they're ready to get their slide deck, they would click on this load Google Block in a new window, and it would open up their Google Drive where they would have their own copy of this slide deck that they could then come in and do the work on. And then when they're done, they'll see a submit button over here, just like they do in Google Classroom, where when they click on submit, it sends a copy of all of the work that they've done back to Canvas so that I can grade it. Can you show us what the rubric looks like? Yes. So I will create a new assignment because once you've attached a Google LTI to assignments, you lose the rubric functionality. So let me create a new assignment, and this is going to be Google assignment LTI with a rubric, just so we can see all the stuff. So again, I'm going to add my item. I'm going to come in here to my assignment, but before I click on edit, I'm going to attach that rubric. And so here I can either create a brand new rubric for this assignment, or if I know I already have a rubric that will work, I can go and find that rubric. And here's a discussion rubric that I'm going to use. And then I'm going to scroll down and use this rubric. So now they have that rubric there so that they can see how they're being graded, and I can use that rubric in SpeedGrader to grade them. Now that the rubric is attached, now I come in to edit, and I'm going to insert that video that I want them to watch. I'm going to give them instructions and then come down here to attach that external tool so that they get their own copy of my slide deck. So external tool, find, Google Assignments. Yes, it's me. Here's my Google Drive, or here's my Google Assignments. So let's create one. Let's create a new doc. So I'm creating a resource on the fly. So I'm going to come in here to here, and this is going to be my blockchain technology handout, right? It would have more on it, but let's name it. And then I'm going to Let's see, I've got too many windows open. So now I think I got rid of, here it is over here. So darn it, there it is. So it's there. So I created that one on the fly, or you can attach one you already have. And I can choose whether I want to grade it in Google Assignments, but because I put the rubric in Canvas, I want to grade it in SpeedGrader. So I'm going to choose that one, click on Create. And again, it looks like it didn't work, but it did. So I'm going to click on Select and Save. And now they can watch the video. And then when they load the Google Assignment LTI with a rubric in a new window, now where did the students see the rubric? They're going to see the rubric in their view on their Grades tab. Where are you going to see the rubric? You're going to see it in SpeedGrader. So when I come into SpeedGrader, notice that I have a View Rubric button. So I can click here and see the rubric there. And I'm going to drag this so you can see the whole rubric. And I can even assign points here. And then I can grade them using my rubric instead of going out to Google. So students will see it when they click on their grades and they see all their grades listed. You see the rubric in the SpeedGrader. Will
they see that rubric before they submit? But they have to go to grades?
That's a good question.
Because I had a teacher bring that up.
Yeah.
Saying students can't see the rubric.
That's a great question. They can't. So what I usually do, I would usually, and again, you'd have to do it before. This is I know they're going to fix this. But if you come into rubrics, this is another place you'll see all your rubrics. Here's that discussion rubric. What I do is I take a screenshot of this. So let me use my screenshot tool, take a new screenshot. And I'm going to now come back to that assignment. And here's my screenshot. I'm going to save that so that I can upload it into Canvas. So save. So now when I come back to modules and go down to that assignment, it's a terrible workaround. It totally works, but it's annoying that we have to do this. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to upload that image, that screenshot of the rubric to ensure that my students see that. So there it is right there. So now I know it's a pain, or you could put it in, as a table, but there's the rubric. So now they have no excuse. The rubric is there. It's part of your assignment instructions. So because even when they go into their grades to see the rubric, they actually have to click on the rubric icon to show it. So a lot of them will miss it. So I would put it as part of your assignment instructions too. So it'll be in both places. So with LTIs, and assignments, so with the Google Assignments LTI and with Canvas assignments, that creates that functionality, that inter LTI integration where they talk to each other. You can create a master in Google, you can create the assignment in Canvas, have those two systems talk to each other to do all of that automation where they mix their own copy and it passes the grade back to the gradebook and all of that. But if you don't have the LTI because your students are not in your Google domain, then that's where you would use these other ways like the embed tool. You can use the LTI tool to show them things, or you can use that plugin to bring things in from Google into Canvas. The LTI with assignments just takes it one step further. I'm going to come back up in here. So if you don't have the assignments LTI where students can click on submit in Google and it passes everything back to Canvas, what I would have them do is have it set up so it's a file upload submission type, not the external tool because you're not using the LTI. But when they are going through the assignment, so they would then in their Google assignment, their Google, whether they made a copy or whatever, they're going to come to file and download as either a PDF or a PNG I suggest PDF. And then that will save it to their computer where they can then go into the Canvas assignment, start the assignment, and upload that file here. So again, this is if you don't have that LTI connection for assignments. They can still work in Google and then just download it as a PDF and upload it to Canvas to turn it in. If your students want to share a link, so if I was a student and I was working on this and I wanted to share this with my teacher so that I don't have to download anything, but I can give them a link, the students just need to make sure that they're sharing, they're setting the share privileges so that anyone with the link can view. And then they are going to copy their link and put it in Canvas as a link. So again, giving them the submission type of online, allowing them to either do a text entry with the rich content editor or paste in a website URL, which is what their Google assignment is. So then when they go into the assignments, so again, they have to share, they have to get the link. They need to make sure that they are setting it to the view only. And then when they click on start assignment, they have the option to either paste in their Google URL, website URL, or they can do it as a rich content editor and submit it that way. So even though you might not have the assignments functionality, your students can still turn their work into Canvas so that you can put a grade and a grade column there. And actually, what I'm going to do, this submitting Google files to Canvas, I'm going to, this presentation right here, it's in my Google Slides. So I'll give you this link because yep, anybody would. So here's how to submit a Google Drive as a student as a link. So those are instructions that you can actually share with students if you'd like on how to submit files as a URL. And then this one, nope, that's the wrong one. So with no LTI, that's a share link. Here we go. And I will copy that share link. And this is if they are, oh no, that's a thin slides. Sorry. I know I have it somewhere. Well, I know I have it in Canvas. So let's do it this way. I'm going to come into edit. Ugh, I'll find it. Are there any questions while I'm looking for that? I think it's in here. So here it is. Let's see if this works. Nope. So I need to find it. It's probably on one of my 10 different Google Drives, but I will find that and get it back to you. So then let me see if I have anything else. And I know that we are coming up on time. Again, I'll put this whole module in Canvas Commons so you can download it if you want. So the Google assignment.
Put it in our adult ed Canvas Commons?
Yes, yeah. Oh, this is what I did. So to use these are just screenshots of everything that I walked through. So it shows you how to do that and what your students see. So you can see here that, you can grade it in Google or not. And just remember that grading in Google versus SpeedGrader is fairly new. So I think my screenshots might be the older version.
I had a quick LTI question. I noticed when you were in LTI, you have drawings as an option. I don't see that in mine. Not that I would necessarily use it.
You know what? I think that's new. I've not used drawings. Let me come in here and
it's okay. Do you think they're going to put forms in there or?
I would hope they're going to put forms in there. I think it's forms are super powerful. The nice thing about forms though is that embed code is so easy to find that you can still do it. So I can
Yeah,
attach.
really helpful because I told teachers that they couldn't do it because I'd seen that little pop up. So
Yeah, yeah.
thank
No,
you.
so if I create, yeah, so I think maybe so you don't see a new drawing when you click on the create button. Okay. That may be something that has to be turned on by whoever manages your Google admin, your Google Drive. And I don't remember maybe, yeah, that might be a new feature also because I don't remember drawings being there. I remember thinking I wish it were, but you can use slides like you use drawings, which I think are even better. So if I wanted, drawings gives you the ability to draw things, and you can't do it in Google Docs because that's a word processor. But if you come into slides and create a new slide, one of the things I have my students do is actually change the page setup so that it looks like a piece of paper. So I would come to custom, and paper is 8.5 by 11. And then they can actually come in here and use the text box or the images or these drawing shaped tools to draw on a Google slide. And it works just as well as a drawing if they really want that.